And this is Beckford, he just run away from him, but they'll still get a strike in and goal, and score against Stretford end.
Beckford! Yes! Jermaine Beckford puts Leeds into dreamland!
Hello and welcome to the Leeds United Show on LUTV. Now there's obviously no football this weekend, but there's still plenty to talk about, and we're going to be joined by former Leeds United striker Jermaine Beckford, as well as getting the fans' view. But first up, Ben Parker, have you managed to get your breath back after that game against Man City?
Wow, what a breathless second half. I haven't seen a tempo like that. And I think you're getting spoilt in the Premier League. We've been used to Championship football, I know, but seeing a top team coming to Ellen Road and us going toe-to-toe with them and coming away slightly disappointed with a point, I think it just shows how far we've come. It
was incredible. And obviously, a lot of the team away on international duty now for this weekend. How's that going to affect things in terms of training and stuff? Yeah,
it's very different. I found it funny when Mateusz Klicker came out and said, it's almost like a break and a holiday going away with the international sides because it's a bit more relaxed, bit more low-key than the kind of training and methods under Marcelo Bielsa. So, but no, the players left at Thorpe Arch, they're just kind of waiting for all their mates to come back after their games with the international sides because they can't really work towards the Wolves match. Well, yeah, what's it, 10, 11 days before that. So it's you're just kind of ticking over. I'm sure they've had a few days off, a bit of rest and recovery, well needed, well deserved as well. And they'll all be gearing up to when everyone comes back next week and then you have a real push towards the Wolves match.
And obviously it's been quite a busy transfer window as well, hasn't it, Ben? What have you made of the transfers?
I think it's been absolutely superb. And people keep saying about where we needed to strengthen in depth, and we have done. And it's just not the quantity to get in, it's the quality in the right areas. And what it will do for the rest of the season, competition for places, and we need that in the Premier League. Speaking to the players as well, they welcome the competition because it raises their game as well. But to get international quality players in, I was watching Spain play last night, play Portugal, and you see two Leeds United players line up side by side doing the national anthem. You feel a bit proud doing that.
You have to pinch yourself a little bit, don't you?
Yeah, you do, and obviously one of our own, Calvin, we're so proud of him. One of ours going away with England. So, but no, a lot of players going away. Come back healthy and fit, please, guys.
We had a deadline day signing join Leeds United in Raphinha from Rennes. So let's hear how excited he is to join this club.
Cara, eu me sinto muito...
How I feel to be a Leeds United player, I feel really satisfied, really happy with the opportunity, the trust the club has shown in me. I believe I can show my game, I can show the club my work and why they believed in me. And yeah, I'm really happy to be here. I'm really satisfied, and I hope to, even in a small part, write my name in the club's history. So together with my happiness, the happiness of the fans with my signing and the directors, I think we can all be happy together.
Dos torcedores e dos dirigentes do clube, podemos ser todos felizes. Cara,
Deco told me about the club's interest in me, and that made me really happy that the club were interested in my football, in my work. And I believe, like any other player, you'd immediately want to come and play in the Premier League, the best league in the world. So I believe I'm really satisfied to come here and make this dream come true and play in the Premier League.
Acredito que fiquei muito contente, muito feliz do interesse do clube e pronto, vim realizar meu sonho de jogar a Premier League.
I wonder if he's tried the fish and chips, Ben, since he's been here, right?
I thought that was absolutely brilliant.
It was amazing, wasn't it? Really, really good. But is he a good addition to the squad, in your opinion?
A fantastic addition, just because the goal output is assists. But the big key thing for me is swap Champions League football this season with Rennes to come and play for us. And that just shows how hungry he is to succeed at this club. And that's all I want the players to be. And you can see in the last 2 years with us covering the players how close-knit they are. That team spirit's key. Look, he's got to adjust to our training. Of course, he'll do that over time. But to have his agent, Deco, by the way, the international superstar, the player he was back in the day, when he broke the news that Leeds were interested, he only wanted to come to one place only. So to get him over the line, yeah, towards the end of the transfer deadline day, had your nerves a little bit on edge. But no, a fantastic addition.
Yeah, nervous, excited, I think we all were, weren't we? But away from the first team, Ben, obviously the Leeds United women, they drew against Chester, didn't they? 0-0
Yeah, second clean sheet in a row for them, so it's something to build towards. And Chester are a good team in that division, but get your confidence with your backbone, keeping those clean sheets. Difficult game coming up next up for the women, but all going well so far.
You got this, girls. And of course, the under-18s as well. They beat Sunderland 3-1, didn't they?
Yeah, and I'm delighted for an old teammate of mine, Scott Gardner. He's kind of stepped into the role which Mark Jackson's left by going to the under-23s. And he's learnt his trade as Scott Gardner, doing really well with the under-18s. Again, a few under-16 players involved with those guys, but another team, another side that have got off to a solid start this year.
Absolutely. And Mark Jackson's under-23s beat Middlesbrough as well on Friday, so a good result for them.
Oh, a fantastic game. I think that the level has gone up twofold in terms of being in the PL2. Middlesbrough, I spoke to Mark Jackson a couple of days before that game. He realised it would be a tough fixture and a good marker to see where this team was. But Sam Greenwood on the score sheet yet again.
Mark must be so happy about that, by the way.
Yeah, I think he's delighted. But it's a whole team effort at the moment. Really exciting football, working hard for one another. But that's the mindset and the winning mentality we've got at the club at the moment.
And on Monday as well, of course, the under-21s took on League Two Barrow in the EFL Trophy, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. And again, a fantastic performance. Barrow had a lot of physical boys out there. They made a few changes from their League Two fixture. 2-0 up at half-time. Max Dean got both the goals. The physicality kind of told towards the end of the match. Ended up losing on penalties, but just proud of how the boys played and a good marker again for the boys where they need to be in their careers.
Thank you very much, Ben. Right, next up on the Leeds United Show, we're going to chat to former Leeds United striker Jermaine Beckford. Hi, Jermaine. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
You look a lot cooler than we do right now.
Well, hey, listen, I'm just trying. I'm trying to be a cool dude. I'm trying to be cool like you guys.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Cool Dude. We'll get stuck straight in. First up, Jermaine, thoughts on the start of the season? Early days, but what have you made of it so far?
I think it's been amazing, genuinely amazing. When you looked at the fixtures before the season started, you look at Liverpool, you look at Fulham, you look at Sheffield United, and then you look at Man City as well. Out of those 4 games, they're 4 very difficult games to start the season off with, and for us to come away with 7 points, I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't think we'd get anything from the Liverpool game or the Man City game. I knew we'd put in a great performance, but results-wise, I wasn't 100% certain. The other 2 games, I was hoping for, obviously, the 3 points against both of them. 7 points for me is top draw. I'm amazed.
Take that all day long, wouldn't you, Jermaine?
100%.
Bex, with the Manchester City game, you mentioned about the performance, but also to get something out of it. As a player's point of view, do you take a lot of confidence out of that going toe-to-toe with one of the best teams in Europe?
Absolutely. Listen, starting off the season against Liverpool the way that we did, going toe-to-toe with those guys first and foremost, they've just finished winning the Premier League title. They've got arguably one of the best front threes in world football. They've got one of the best centre-halves in world football as well in Van Dijk. For us to approach that game and dominate the game in large spells the way that we did, taking that into the following 3 games, and especially against Man City, who are, in my opinion, arguably one of the best footballing sides, the most pleasing on the eye, dominating possession, etc., with one of the most amazing managers as well in world football. That, for me, kind of cemented the fact that Leeds United have made it. We're back in the Premier League, and everybody has taken notice of that. And now we've got a load of fans who never really paid us a second any other attention, and now they're starting to look at Leeds United as their second team. You know, it's bizarre to say and it's bizarre to hear, but everybody loves us. We're not used to it.
Jermaine, how do you feel about Leeds United being people's second team and being loved?
I'm not bothered. I want them to all hate us. Go back to the good old days.
Yes, you do.
Spoken like a true fan there, Bex.
And Jermaine, from a player's point of view, obviously they're playing incredibly, but how difficult is it to play the way that they are?
It's very difficult because the intensity levels are so high. To be able to maintain that over the course of 90-95 minutes is massive. And you can see the exhaustion on all the boys' faces when they finish playing. They've literally left nothing on the field. And that's something that Bielsa and his team work tirelessly to do, excuse the pun, day in, day out during the training week. So if any player comes off the training ground during the week and they still got a little bit of energy, or they want to do a little bit of finishing afterwards, or hitting diagonal passes or crosses or whatnot after the training session's finished, Bielsa would stop them mid-track and he'll say to them, listen, if you've still got energy now, you've not worked hard enough during training. So what you're going to do tomorrow is dig a little deeper. You're going to do more than the rest of the boys. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants extra training. So I think that in itself paves the path for the work rate that we see on a daily basis during the matches. I think it's amazing. I really do.
Well, a player who's got plenty of energy and plenty of work rate, Jermaine, is Patrick Bamford. And I know, speaking with you, you've always been a massive fan of his. Have you noticed something altering his game, making the step up into the Premier League, of course, the start of the season?
Yeah, he looks hungrier. And I don't think I thought I'd hear myself say that. He's a lot more ruthless in front of goal. He's taking his time a little bit more. Touching on the Liverpool game, he had a couple of really big opportunities, really big chances to put the game to bed early on. He took his time a little bit too much, in my opinion. I think he should have. There was one opportunity where the ball came through to him on his right foot, and he should have taken an early shot, but he took an extra touch to really compose himself. But after that game, he's been clinical in goal. You know, he scored in the first games of the season. He put in a great performance against Manchester City, working the centre halves really, really well and putting them under constant pressure. They hated it. Even Pep Guardiola on the touchline, he was pulling at what little hair he had left out. You know, he, instead of him doing what we expected him to do, which was bring on more attacking players through the wealth of attacking talent he's got on the bench, he brought on Fernandinho, who's a defensive midfield player. He brought on Nathan Ake, who's a defender. That in itself shows you how far Patrick Bamford has come. To get a manager like Pep Guardiola, I have to watch my language. Very, very nervous.
Safe space here, Jermaine. It's a safe space. And in that game as well, we saw some of the quality from Rodrigo. What in your opinion, what's his best position?
Do you know what? I had this discussion yesterday with one of my friends who's on a podcast show with myself. I think his best position, Rodrigo, is in the number 10 role, the one that he played the other week. For me, I don't think he's a natural number 9. You know, he plays it because he has no choice for the national side. But when he was playing in the number 10 role, he's got a lot more freedom to express himself, to move around all over the pitch, to find himself in little in holes, in pockets, in between the midfield and the defenders. And he's able to get on the ball early, turn and spray beautiful passes right across the field. But the thing that really, really excited me about him is his energy. The way he's got bags of energy to get up and down the pitch, and he's constantly on the move. And for his goal against City, you could see the ball went over his head. His first thought was, right, the ball's gone over my head. I wonder where it's gonna drop. He shuffles his feet very quickly. The ball falls to his feet. And his instinct is bang, twist, shoot, right in the back of the net. So for me, I think he's a very exciting player, somebody that I'm really looking forward to getting to know as the season goes on.
In terms of the transfer business, Jermaine, obviously quite a number of signings coming in under 23 level, and also first team, mentioning Rodrigo, the record signing for the club. What have you made of the business as a whole?
It's not bad, is it? Listen, we've signed a Brazilian winger. We've got 2 Spanish internationals. We've got a German international. For me, I think that's a phenomenal window. And those players that we've brought in are there to improve the squad. Not just to make up numbers. They're there to improve the squad, to build on the quality that we already have and the work rate that we already have. So for me, I think the process that we've gone through to get to the point where players of this caliber are looking at Leeds United thinking to themselves, wow, I want to play in that team, for that manager, in that stadium, for those fans. That's I love it. Absolutely love it.
Look at that face, you're lapping it up, aren't you, Jermaine?
100%.
And do you think, in terms of transfers, Jermaine, we got a great screenshot there, by the way. Did you see that? It froze on you for a second. That was brilliant. Massive smile.
That's not good.
In terms of the transfers, do you think that Leeds have strengthened everywhere that they needed to in this window?
Pretty much, but I think we could have got one more centre midfield player to cover maybe Klitsch and Calvin. Everywhere else, I'm confident. I'm very happy with. Obviously, we've still got a few months left until the January window opens, so we'll be able to make more of a judgment call as the season goes on. But I think for the time being, I'm very happy and very impressed with the business that's been done. Yeah.
In terms of the Premier League as a whole, Jermaine, it's been a crazy start, hasn't it? Nearly averaging 4 goals per game. What do you put that down to?
The work rate. I really do. And also the fans not being there. I think players are a little bit more expressive. They can try things without being judged by fans. And I know it sounds like I'm nitpicking and having a pop at fans. I'm genuinely not. You know, when you're playing in a stadium and there's no fans there, you tend to experiment a little bit more than you would if there were fans there. You know, it's like playing football in front of your parents. If they're there, you're going to be sensible. You're not going to mess around. You're going to do everything properly. And you know, you're going to come off the pitch and your parents are going to say, I like that, you did well. If there's no parents there and you're just playing with your friends, you're going to mess around. You're going to try things that you haven't necessarily tried before. And I think it's similar to that sort of thing, if I'm honest.
Yeah, that makes sense. The only comparison I have is like science class when I was in high school, when I'd mess around behind the teacher's back and then get in trouble as soon as he turned around. But don't try this at home with Bunsen burners. But in terms of the league itself, Jermaine, is it open? Is it wide open? Is it too early to say? Do you have any predictions looking ahead? I
think it's wide open. I really do. Like, if you look at the Premier League table now, Everton are top of the league, Aston Villa are second. Aston Villa are second. They avoided relegation last season by a goal, you know, and that in itself speaks absolute volumes for the transfer window that people have had during this summer window. Some of us have had great windows, others, meh, not so much. Just across the Pennines, you know, those fellas over there. So, you know, with that being said, anything can happen, and I love it. I love the fact that we're playing the type of football, the brand of football that we are, and everybody's taking notice. Everybody's seen we've come up against two of the biggest footballing clubs in world football and smashed them and dominated possession and showed everybody what we're about. But we've also played against a team that's come up from the Championship with us. We had a sticky moment, you know, the last 15 minutes of the game or so. But that being said, we still managed to score 4 goals against them. Conceded 3, but we've strengthened at the back. I'm excited. I'm genuinely excited to see what happens after the international break. How all the players come back in terms of their fitness levels and the amount of football that they're playing. I think I genuinely do think we're going to finish top half. I really, really do.
We'll take that, won't we, Ben?
Certainly take that. But obviously the next run of fixtures after the international break, we've got Wolves, Aston Villa, Leicester, and finish with Palace. That's the run of 4 fixtures. How do you think we'll get on? Is that those type of Premier League games where you think that's the nitty-gritty, it's all good playing against your Manchester Cities, Liverpools? Are these the real kind of tests being back in the Premier League?
Do you know what? Yes, I do think so. Obviously, you've got we've had a great mixture of the different types of teams that we've played against so far. You know, we've played against a team that's just been promoted, so the confidence is going to be sky high. We played against the Premier League champions. We've played against Man City, who are, as I mentioned before, arguably one of the best footballing sides in world football. And we played against our Yorkshire rivals as well in Sheffield United. So between those 4 teams, the variety of style of player that we've played against and the different type of manager we've had to come up against also, I think we have shown that we've got exactly what it takes to push on throughout the whole of this season. But as you mentioned, we're coming up against a team that are second in the Premier League. We're coming up against a team that have recently won the Premier League in Leicester City. We're coming up against Crystal Palace, who are so difficult to play against in terms of the defensive capabilities. They're just an awkward side to play against. I've played there before, and it's never nice. It's never fun. It's never easy. They make it difficult. So that's something else. And you're coming up against Wolves, did you say as well? Who, for me, had a phenomenal season last year, and they've got some of the best attacking players as well in the Premier League. They've been a breath of fresh air, but don't forget they've also got Traore on the right wing, who is ridiculously strong, but he's probably the quickest football player I think I've ever seen in my life.
Quicker than you, Bex?
Just give him a dead leg and that'll be all right. But I think we're well equipped to deal with all the different types of players that we're going to come up against and different teams and strategies. And I don't know. I don't think we'll win every single one of them. I really don't. I would like to say that we'll get another 6 or 7 points out of those 4 games. With that, I'll be very happy.
Jermaine Beckford, thank you so much for joining us.
Nice one, guys. Take care. Great show. As always, can't wait to be in the studio with you guys as well.
Yes, we can't wait to have you here. Thanks, Jermaine. It's really good to hear Jermaine sounding so optimistic, isn't it, Ben?
Yeah, it's fantastic, is Jermaine. Always positive around the place. But no, he's right. The way we've started, it surprised a lot of people. And it's only going to continue. Tough 4 games coming up next, as he alluded to. But why not be positive? Attack all those 4 games like we've done the first 4. No problem at all.
Exactly. Right, next up on the Leeds United Show, we're going to get the fans' point of view. Right, we are joined by 3 fans, Johnny Brown, Joe Wayman and Arvind Sidhu. Now, first up, Arvind, over there where you are, am I right in thinking it's about 6 o'clock at night, tea time?
Exactly, 6 p.m.
Right, well, we won't keep you too long because priorities and all that, but thank you so much for joining us.
No problem, glad to be
We're going
here.
to start with a really quick fire one. I'm going to start with you, Joe, and then each give me your favourite Leeds player ever. Go.
David Batty.
Arvind?
Same thing, David Batty as well.
Johnny?
Lewis Cook.
Thank you very much.
I thought we nearly had a clean sweep then for David Batty, but nice for Lewis Cook in. Kind of same thing, start with you, Joe. Out of a mark of 10, give us a score of how the season's gone so far.
8.
Arvind?
7.5.
Johnny?
8.
Very solid scores is that as
Yeah.
well. And just a quick 5 question to follow up on that, guys. Obviously, we've got 7 points on board out of the 4 games. Before the season started, the run of 4 fixtures, how many points did you actually think we was going to get, Johnny?
6.
Arvind?
Right on the dot, 7.
And to
Joe?
6.
6, very nice. And obviously, guys, very early days in the season, but Joe, I'll go to you first. Who's been your standout player so far?
Matthias Click.
Arvind?
Stuart Dallas.
Johnny?
Jack Harrison.
A variety.
Very, very variety there. But it's obviously been a team effort, and just want to get your goal of the season. There's been a lot of candidates who obviously scored quite a few goals. But for you, Joe, which goals kind of stood out and why?
Click at Liverpool, just the speed the ball's fizzed in from Costa for him to flick it up and just smash it first time volley was a beauty for me.
Johnny, what's your favourite?
Harrison against Liverpool, the Phillips assist and the first touch from Harrison and then just everything after that. Beautiful.
Arvind, have you got a particular favourite?
Definitely. Helder Costa against Fulham. The team move, Meslier, Bamford, turn of pace, and that finish from Helder Costa, 4-1. That's my goal.
Now, guys, we want to dig into the season so far a little bit, and feel free to just chat between yourselves as well and have a discussion. Obviously, early days, but have you been surprised at how well Leeds United have adapted to the Premier League?
I think, for me, no. I firmly believe that Bielsa ball is better suited to the Premier League. We've got much more space. There's a difference between 11 men behind the ball parked in your box. When we're on the, for example, we're catching teams on the fly. I think it's better suited, and some of the individuals in the team, like your Costas, etc., they're better suited to the Premier League just because they get a bit more time on the ball and are able to get their heads up and pick passes out.
And Arvind, would you agree with that? Obviously, we met you when Leeds United were in the Championship. You'd come over here, you had a great experience coming over and watching the team play. But for you, as an international fan, how well do you think they've adapted to the Premier League?
Really well. Slightly surprised maybe because the fact that we haven't had the experience for the last 16 years. But the stats that we had last season are being backed up right now with the stats that we have. Team that presses the most tackles. So it's showing that the team is fearless, there's bravery, and we're willing to give it a go. I mean, compared to a lot of other promoter teams that are a little bit more conservative in their approach, that's not the way Bielsa does things, and that's not his ethos of playing the game. So I'm slightly surprised from a perspective of us lacking that experience for 16 years, but not surprised from a perspective of the way that we play, and the stats last season have kind of translated to this season as well.
And Johnny, obviously the media and a lot of people who maybe haven't been watching Leeds United play as closely as we have when they were in the Championship, they've been talking about them now. There's so much hype, so, you know, people saying they're everyone's second team. Have you been surprised personally at how well they've adapted?
Just agreeing with the other lads, to be fair, it's not really. We've been playing amazing. We've been playing Premier League football for at least one season, maybe even 2 seasons. In the style that we've played, it's been really passing, aggressive at times, but like it's been spot on. We've needed it. Like we've needed that just last little push to get us over the line, so that we can play that proper football in a proper league instead of that awful division to try and get out of.
We made it, Johnny.
Yeah, we finally got out there, and as Emma was saying there, Leeds are loved at the moment. Everyone seems to be our favourite second team. Does that sit well with you fans?
I can't stand it personally. I think it'd be a totally different kettle of fish if we were in the ground, and they were experiencing Ellen Road at full pomp. And I just know as well, just when we do play these teams that say we're the second teams, I think once we've played them and give them a bit of hiding, they'll soon change the tune, I think.
Would you agree with that, Arvind?
I do, but over my part of the world over here, being the second favorite team is actually something that we kind of embrace, because over here in Asia, especially in Malaysia, you've got fans of mainly the top 4, top 5 teams. You've got very few fans who support a Leeds or a Fulham or you don't have any Brentford fans here, that's for sure. So in our part of the world, having a Leeds as a second favorite team is a benefit to us, because it gives us much more exposure. We make the headlines more, for obvious positive reasons. So on our side of the world, I welcome that, because it shows that we're doing things the right way. We're being brave about it, and we're giving a couple of big teams a bloody nose when we fight with them. So on my end, we welcome it over here.
That's really interesting. That, Johnny, are you on Joe's side or Arvind's with this?
Well, I don't really. I don't really know. It's a bit of a strange one, because I used to be in the army. So obviously up and down the country, I'd come into contact with lots of different fans. And at the time when I was first in army, most of the people were like, "Oh, can't believe you're in League One," and so on and so on. And they're saying, "Oh, you're such a big club, you should be up there." I can't, but and then they'd always talk about the European team that did really well, like exceptionally well. And so, although it's weird, because we've been playing against some awful tin pot clubs for the last few years, so their fans, they obviously hate us because they're so envious. But when you're playing against like big clubs that understand what being a big club is, they get it. So I've got friends from like the northeast that support Newcastle, and they get it. They said, "Oh, we'll be glad to see Leeds back in the Premier," because they're a massive club as well. And obviously they've dipped a little bit and dropped into the Championship. But then I've got mates that are Borough fans, and they absolutely detest us. And like it don't bother me, because they've only won 1 cup, and so I don't really mind either way. Like, it don't bother me. I love my club, and that's the main thing.
I think the other thing is, it's probably going to be interesting to see if this run of form continues, whether that kind of, they're our second team turns into a bit of jealousy, you know, because if Leeds United are beating their teams, they're not going to be the second team anymore. And obviously, lads, again, feel free to discuss this between yourselves. It's been a pretty busy transfer window. Are you happy with the signings that we've made?
Very. I for one, can't believe it. I mean, I think the policy that the club has put in place here is just fantastic. I mean, you look at it, that we really wanted Ben White. Granted, we tried 3 times, but we were not going to be priced out of the move. And then to have that succession planning to be able to bring in Robin Koch and Diego Llorente to internationals for literally almost the price that we would have probably what Brighton would have wanted for Ben, what I think is fantastic business from the club. Rodrigo Moreno, first choice striker in Spain with Gerard Moreno as well. Fantastic striker. So in my view, I couldn't have asked for more. I'm struggling to think in the last 15 years when we've had such a good window. I remember the days when we used to celebrate getting Luke Murphy for $1 million, and look what they've done now. So for me, I think Andrea, Victor, Angus, they've done a fantastic job, and us fans have got a lot of reasons to be very thankful for this.
Joe and Johnny, you both look like you were nodding a bit in agreement there.
Yeah, I think for me, that remit of the cream of the crop for the Championship, that would have been enough for me. You know, the likes of Watkins, Benrahma, them signings still excited me, but we've gone that next step. And like you just said, you know, signing fully fledged internationals. It's been an amazing window. I think we could do with one more, maybe in the domestic window, just maybe a Campbell, just someone to sit in there in midfield. And I think we will get that done as well. And I'm just buzzing for Victor Orta. I think more respect needs to be thrown on his name. I think even still some fans might still question him, and I think it's crazy because he's just been integral. And what a man he is.
Johnny nodding again. You're happy here?
Couldn't agree more. Victor's been amazing. I mean, watching the documentary like last season and this, and you can see how much he's just in it, isn't he? He's just so, you wouldn't have thought that he's like from a completely different country. You'd think he was like born in Beeston, the way that he goes on. Like he just loves the club so much. I mean, he's done amazing, hasn't he? I mean, what Arvin was saying about Ben White, like obviously at the end of the season, I was talking to my pals, we've got to get Ben White, we've got to get him, we need to secure him so we can stay up and we'll be all right. And then we've just come and signed someone who had Ronaldo in his back pocket last night. Unbelievable. Like, we've done... I play a lot of Football Manager, and I can't believe that we're just pulling these amazing players in just like that. Obviously, it's not just like that. Victor's obviously working very hard, but for us, it's just like, oh, we've got another one.
And even the youngsters as well. I mean, you look at Sam Greenwood, George Arhal. I thought Cody Drame is a really good right back, centre back in the under-21. So the youngsters that they've brought as well shows that the club has got big picture thinking in their mind. And some of the youngsters that they bought are really going to bode really well for us for the next couple of years. So we've had a mix of fully fledged internationals, but really promising youngsters as well. But I think us all Leeds fans, if you ask us, the transfer of the season was getting Bielsa to sign another contract. That is number one for us, right? But overall, I would give the club a 9.5 out of 10 for the transfer window, really.
How refreshing is it to see all the fans agreeing? It's been such a long time with that on the transfer basis. But how's your expectations changed between now and start of the season? Obviously, the performances against the likes of Liverpool, Manchester City, and the transfer window, the signings that's come into the club. Have your expectations changed now after the 4 games?
For me, go on, Johnny. Go on.
So, mine haven't. I thought we'd do all right. I knew that we weren't gonna be a Stoke and just sit back and just absorb pressure and try and like get the odd goal and like 1-0 victories. That was never going to happen with the manager like we've got and the players' mentality that they've got. So like I always thought we'd do all right attacking, but the first couple of games when we were like leaking goals, I thought, we could have a bit of a drama here, but we've done really well. I mean, how after that 15-minute onslaught from Man City the other day, how we only conceded one is unbelievable. Like we did so well to not concede more. So I think I'm certain we'll be all right.
I mean, mine have changed from top 10 to Europe.
Wow!
I'm going to genuinely think. I look at the standard. I look at the quality in the Premier League. I don't rate a lot of the coaches among some of the big so-called big clubs, and I think we'll be knocking on the door. Look at Sheffield United. Look at Wolves. When they've come up, I think we'll have a similar style impact. The signings we've signed will just get better. I think we could genuinely be knocking on the door of Europe, and if we do that, that secures Bielsa for another season. So we're sky high, man. I think we can do it. it's not out of the realms of possibility anyway. We look great.
Yes, Joe. What about
I've
you,
got a
Evan?
slightly different view on this, and it's only from the perspective of the 16 years of hurt that we've gone through. For me, when it started the season, if we had finished 17th, I would have signed up for it because I realized how brutal and how tough the Premier League is. It's an unforgiving league. Things can happen. I've seen teams spend ridiculous amounts of money like Villa last season and survive with 1 point at the last day of the season. Granted, I feel we've done better buys and more sensible buys compared to Villa did last season. So if you asked me at the beginning of the season, I would have signed up for 17th and above. Anything else would have been a bonus. I think we'll probably be about 10 to 14th. I think Europe is a slight stretch for this season, but it bodes well because the finances will be intact. The players would have gotten to know each other for another season. Interesting stat is I read if Bielsa stays for another 8 games with us, it's his longest ever tenure at any club or any country. So that shows that he's one of us and he's committed to the club. So for me, 10 to 14th, I think we'll finish around there. But we could surprise a few people with Europe. We never know as well.
Absolutely. Well, none of you had said that we're getting relegated, so that's
bonus.
positive. And obviously, the football's incredible, guys, but we're missing you. It's the fans that aren't allowed in the stands to be able to see this. There's a petition been done, hundreds of thousands of signatures now. And, we know you're not scientists. We're not expecting you to be able to put the world to rights. But do you think now is the right time for fans to be allowed back in?
I think for me, yes. I mean, they've done it in Germany, right? They've done it over there. And listen, I'm missing it so much. Like all my Facebook memories and stuff are coming up from like 2 years ago and a year ago, and I'm just seeing me in the stadium and at the Peacock with my mates, and it's like, just get me back. I miss it so much. Like, can you imagine the City game, for example, packed out? We win that game for me. I genuinely believe that we go on and win that game. And it's time. It's happening around the world. So if Germany can do it, then why can't we? I think I've seen bits where they're on about watching it in cinemas and stuff, which again, I'm not a scientist, but it don't make sense to me to watch it in an enclosed space when you can watch it in an open air stadium. And surely, the club will have the right regulations put in place to make sure we're all safe. So it makes perfect sense. And we need it, right? The lower league clubs need it as well as the teams in the top flight. So for me, yes, it is the right time, and get me back to Ellen Road because I miss it too much.
I think a lot of people share that view, Joe. Arvind, for you, obviously slightly different because, you were never able to go regularly to games anyway. I think when we met you, when Leeds were in the Championship, that was the first time you'd actually been able to come over, wasn't it, to see them in action. So in your opinion, because obviously you're watching it there, is it weird seeing it without the fans?
It is slightly, but I feel after you get so into the game and your attention is so on the players and the gameplay, you kind of forget and it blanks out of you that there are no fans around. But I agree with Joe. I mean, they're doing it in a phased approach in Spain. They're doing it in a phased approach in Germany. I honestly believe that you can do a certain number of fans to start slowly going into the grounds. It will only help the club from a perspective of gate receipts. It will only help the team, the spirit, the culture and such. But sitting it from far here, I mean, I've only been to Ellen Road twice. I hope there will be a day that I come back again, really, because it was memories of a lifetime for me whenever I came. So, I feel for you guys over there. But from us over here, we're just glad that we get to watch Leeds on the TV because we never were given championship football. We struggled. We really, really struggled. So for be able to see Leeds on the television every weekend, we're so grateful. For us, that's a bonus. But I feel for you guys, and I honestly feel that fans should be able to be allowed to go back in a phased approach. Not everyone immediately, but a phased approach.
Yeah. We'd like to welcome you back here one day very soon as well, Arvind, all being well.
You.
Johnny, what about you? Are you aching? Are you itching to get back?
Oh my days. So I live during lockdown. Obviously, I've got two, well, not obviously because you don't know me, but I've got 2 girls and my wife and a stepson, and so I have my family in my house. So I've seen all my family. I've got loads of WhatsApp groups, so I can talk to my pals and abuse each other as we do. But so that I haven't missed that sort of bit. But going to Ellen Road, at one day I just drove there for a little walk around. And I was gutted because the gates were shut at the the northeast corner and the southwest corner, so I couldn't walk all the way around. But I didn't care. It was just nice to sort of I mean, it's very eerie though because there's no one about. But it was it's I need it from a completely selfish point of view. I was saying this to my wife yesterday. It's a bit like, because I don't think there is a right time. It's a bit like having a child, because there's no right time to have a child. If you think, all right, well, what we'll do, we'll get a good job first, then we'll buy a house. Oh no, we need a car. There's always something that could be in the way. There's always something that could stop it. But I think like you've just got to, obviously there will be tears, there will be like hard bits that come with it and everything that comes like with a baby. But at the end of the day, it's always worth it. Always worth it. So for me, obviously I'm not a doctor and I'm a very selfish person. I want to go back to Ellen Road.
It's gutting as well, right? Sorry, that we had the promotion taken away from us. I had my mindset, what I was doing when I was getting on that pitch, where I was going, do you know what I mean? Looking for my mates. And it's really sobering to think that was taken away, man. So I just want, now it's like, right, give me some Premier League football in the flesh.
Well, one day, hopefully you'll be able to wet the baby's head for real, hey lads. But in the meantime, rest assured, Victor Orta is definitely as loud as half of the capacity of Ellen Road, trust me.
Yeah, I just want to echo, guys, just from an ex-player's point of view and being able to watch the games live like we have done after lockdown. Football is not the same without the fans. It's nothing without the fans. So we're all hoping you can come back into the ground soon. But back to the fixtures about to come up after the international break. Obviously, a run of 4 fixtures in Wolves, Aston Villa, Leicester, then Crystal Palace. On paper, 4 tricky games. What's the real expectation in a points tally between those 4 games?
I'll jump in. I think 10 points. I know that might seem over optimistic, but I think Wolves, will beat them because they'll come at us and we can get behind them and catch them on the break. Leicester, very similar, a bit inconsistent as well. Palace, they're very inconsistent, and unfortunately, as awful as it makes me feel to say it, I think we'll end up dropping points against that Tin Pot Brummy club.
Well, we shall see.
I think we'll do all right.
Yeah. I've put 12, but I'll take 9 or 10. But I think for me, this now is the real test of Premier League football, these next 4, because I seen Liverpool, Man City as much hard for me to say it was a little bit of a free hit, and I looked at Fulham, just come up average. They're a championship team operating in the Prem. Sheffield United, it was a similar sort of result to that time when they went up, the first season under Bielsa, and I knew that we'd give them a game because we did it before. But these 4 teams are teams that are established Premier League clubs, maybe not so Villa, but they've done some good business. And I think this is the real test now to see whereabouts, the land will lie. Because I'm not a footballer, Ben might tell me different, but everyone can get up for a City. Everyone can get up for a Liverpool. When you're playing at Crystal Palace, do you have the same sort of driving mentality? I believe they will, because Bielsa won't let standards drop. But I think these next 4 are a real acid test for us now to see where the land lies in the Premier League.
It's just something about the way that we lost at Liverpool, which was a very unfortunate last-minute Rodrigo carelessness. But I honestly don't see us losing in any of these 4 games. I'm not saying that we're going to win all 4, but it's just something about the team grit and the team and not wanting to lose. We took care of that when we went up to Bramall Lane. We outplayed Fulham for most part. Unfortunately, we let in a couple of careless goals at the end. And we could have got something against City. Don't get me wrong. We could have got 3 points against City as well. So I in my view, I feel that we will remain undefeated for the 4 games. But it'll be 2 wins and 2 draws for me. So 8 points for me.
2 wins and 2 draws. I think we'll certainly take that, won't we? Joe, Arvind and Johnny, thank you so much. It's been a genuine pleasure having you on. Thank you for taking the time to chat to us. Arvind, it's tea time for you, so we'll let you go and have your tea. Thank you so much for that, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Take care.